What's up everyone? In today's video, let's talk about why a narcissist will purposely trigger you. And if you want, stick around by the end of the video because I have a special announcement I'm going to be making. So with that said, let's go ahead, let's dive straight into it. Why will a narcissist purposely trigger you? And as I've mentioned in my other videos, a narcissist wants to control you, and triggering you is about control. I actually read this in one of my favorite books called The 8 Pillars of Prosperity. I'll leave for that a link for that in the description down below. And in that book, it talks about calmness. Inside of that part of the book, he talks about calmness being the ultimate power. And when you are calm and collected and controlled, you are in control of yourself and your energy and your reactions, and you're in control of your life, essentially. That's why people like, for example, James Bond, they are cool, calm, and collected. The purpose of being cool, calm, and collected is when all this craziness and everything is going on around you, you still have full control over yourself. And as long as you have full control over yourself, you have full control of your life, which makes living your life much more easy. So when the narcissist is feeling in a situation, I want you to put yourself in their shoes. They're in this situation where they have a bunch of different anxieties about different things, and they live a life where they believe they are powerless. Because they believe that they are powerless, they want to control you. And by triggering you in anything, they can bring up any possible thing to trigger you. What they really want to do is they want to make you lose your calmness, your collectedness, and your control over yourself, because then you start acting irrationally, and then you will get into an argument with them, and then they can start to feed off of your life energy. As you start losing control and your sight of where you were before when they started to trigger you, they are starting to stir up these emotions inside you. By stirring those up, every single second that you're putting energy into that thing that triggered you, however they triggered you, now you're losing control of yourself. And then you're going to create this dynamic where you're going back and forth with these people. And as you continue to put even more and more energy into that, you start to get drained. And what that does is now they're essentially, you're essentially cutting yourself off from your happiness and the things that make you live the life that you want to live. And you're draining yourself of all this energy. And you're going to end up being in the situation where, again, you are feeling sad and upset. At least this is what used to happen to me in my relationship, when I would get triggered by the things that she did, And I eventually, over time, as you keep getting triggered to those things, and you're going back and forth with this person, as you know, when you're in an argument and a discussion, especially with a narcissist, you end up going down a rabbit hole. You go down the rabbit hole of talking about all the different things that have ever gone wrong, and they will use past memories and past experiences against you. And then you start going further and further down this line, where when it all started from one little trigger that they set off inside of you, and now that you're going down this path of arguing and going down, you're opening up. It's like, imagine like a tree branch of that you're branching off all these different possibilities of where the conversation can go. And the narcissist has really, if you've been engaged with this narcissist for a long time, they know where your weak spots are. And if this is your first times that you're, coming across a narcissist, they're figuring you out every single time that you have a trigger. And if you're with a narcissist that knows you well, they know what your triggers are, and they're going to lead the conversation down one of these different paths that they know that they can take you and lead you down. And eventually the end result of the path where they're trying to get you is they're trying to get you to a place where they can shame you for feeling bad about who you are, where they can put you down, where they can make you feel depressed and take the life energy out of you. And as you cut yourself off by allowing yourself to be triggered by the narcissist, you're cutting yourself off from the things that make you who you are. And as you cut yourself off from the person that you really are, they have begun to establish their control over you yet again. And that's why a narcissist will purposely trigger you. I can tell you firsthand that from my experience with my relationships, There were times where I had total calmness and collectedness over myself, and as I entered into a situation where I personally was triggered, my emotions got brought up all over again, and this exact same thing happened. That's why I can describe to you what goes on and why they try to trigger you. And I would go down that path, and eventually I just ended up feeling bad for something that maybe I didn't do. Maybe I was being gaslighted. Maybe something else was brought up, and it just went down this path where it was a lose-lose situation. No matter where I went, where I took this conversation, I was going to lose at the end of it. And that is why it is so important for you to maintain your calmness from the beginning, because I did notice that the times, especially as I started catching on to when I would be purposely triggered, I noticed that as I stood my ground and I didn't try to trigger them and I didn't try to engage with them, and I just stood my ground of who I was, and I kept my calmness and my collectedness, I was able to navigate these situations with much more personal maturity and much more personal integrity. And as I handled these situations with more personal maturity and integrity, I ended up thriving in these situations because I wasn't falling for the bait. And because I wasn't falling for the bait, I wasn't, stooping down, I guess, to their level, you could say, and I was keeping more so control of my life. And I guess really the important thing to learn about this is that you're going to be in situations as you move forward where the person that you're talking with, the narcissist that you're dealing with, you have to recognize, if you put yourself in their shoes, that the purpose of triggering you is all about control. As soon as they gain control over you, you have released yourself from your power and you have given it to them, and then you are in their grasp again. And if you want really any chance of surviving these situations for your own long-term happiness, you cannot fall to their triggers. And what really is amazing about these triggers is that you know exactly when they get triggered. And it just takes that split second where they say something, where they know that you are going to get into this emotional state of losing your calmness and your collectedness. You recognize the second you get triggered, because I can think off the top of my head in one situation where it was over text, where I was with this person just having a phone conversation, and they sent me that one text message. And from that one text message, immediately, the second I read it, I felt all these emotions stir up inside of me. And at that second, it was, you have a decision to make in that split second where you can go into that emotion and you can go straight through it and be triggered, or you can sit back and just understand why you got triggered. And taking the time to understand why you got triggered and what you can do to overcome this thing that is triggering you is important for your own self-growth. What is it about you that makes it so that you are triggered by this thing? It can be anything, and you just need to find the solution to overcome that personal boundary. Maybe just you stop caring about that thing, or maybe you change your perception of what is going on. And the second thing to recognize is when this trigger is coming and this narcissist is presenting to you this trigger, you're actually in a spot where you've most likely repeated this scenario multiple times. There are triggers that are being set off on purpose, and I want you to notice next time you're getting triggered by something, how many times you've been in a similar situation. Because I can tell you, if that narcissist is triggering you, they've done it with that trigger multiple times before, because they know that it works. And you essentially have given them the ammunition where they know where your soft spot is. And as they know where your soft spot is, they can purposely tap into it whenever they need another fix of feeling like they have control and power in their life. And if you have given them the ammunition and the bait to be able to trigger you and get their needs met in an unhealthy way, then you are losing the game. because you're putting yourself in a situation where you're going to go through these emotions because they know how to take advantage of you, and you're going to be upset, and you're going to be the one that's left hurting. You're going to be the one dealing with the triggered emotions, and as many people can do, you may do things to them that are also hurtful towards you. You may feel like you're actually in a way hurting everybody in your life, because as you start suppressing who you are and not allowing yourself to be the happiest version of yourself by allowing yourself to continuously be triggered by something that maybe shouldn't trigger you anymore, or that's something that is calling out for personal growth, and by you allowing yourself to be in this continuously repetitive motion of getting triggered and controlled by this person, you're actually letting yourself down, and you're letting down, I guess, other people in your life that want to see you fully happy, that want to see your brightness and your light shine. And the more you engage with this person, the more you're suppressing that. So I would encourage you, when you're in these situations, to recognize what challenges you've gone into, what triggers you respond to, why, if you've been in these situations where you're continuously triggered, and next time you're in these situations, just recognize what triggers you. Take a moment to step back to see how you can overcome that trigger, and then also recognize what they're doing, why they're triggering you, and this really won't become an issue anymore, because you will be just too smart to fall for these tricks anymore. And the stronger that you get, the easier it is to step away from these people and from these behaviors permanently, which only leads to you having a happier life at the end of it. So that does it for that video on why do narcissists purposely trigger you. And I hope you guys really enjoyed it. As for the special announcement, I think I'm going to be starting a Patreon and a little community for all of us who have been watching this channel. You guys have been so awesome, and I want to do this channel full time with you guys, and if you could go and help me and support me on there, that would be awesome. I think that I'm going to be posting a lot of exclusive content on there, and I might be sending out the wristbands to you guys for free on there if you just sign up. And if that's something that would interest you guys, please leave a comment in the section down below of what also you guys would like to see on there. And if you guys have any questions for any future videos that I could respond to and put on here, then that would be awesome. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys on the next one.